and it's all going, and the whole time.
But beyond that, and the buildup from the old water treatment facility that was adding fluoride in, now that's all built up. It's kind of like a water filter in your house. If you let it go too long, suddenly your water tastes horrible. It starts sloughing all the toxins, and it's 20 times worse.
Okay, so I'm going to try and wake you up and expose the occult world and decode the occult world, which is the real world, as opposed to your small world, your small, stupid world, the globalist elites basically have you drunk on. Okay, the real world has to do with occult science, and space is actually here, and the sea, or the waters, tie in with Navy, Office of Naval Intelligence, and the Masonic cover-up of the entire dimension of our reality. So let's get into this, and I'm going to try and decode this. We're talking about the poisoned water in Flint, Michigan.
All come together and fight that. They want to make it a race thing, and they're doing the same thing with the water. Meanwhile, this is happening all over the country.
And again, I'm going to have to skip this network break because I'm going to play your full report and then come back with Jakari. So we've got a few minutes left here. Get into the fact, and of course, we're going to do even more reports. This has happened all over the country in areas that are 60-70% white as well. We should all come together and say, stop it with the water. Citizens should get together and go test the water, like folks used to do with the nuclear power plants, and they kept catching it being radioactive. We sent Jakari out a few years ago when we knew the radiation levels were up on the West Coast. He found some areas 15 to 20 times regular background radiation with 2 certified field meters and a Geiger counter, and the media went, oh,
okay, so you have to understand that we're talking about 2 things at once here, right? That's how the Illuminati and the global elitists work, okay? They got you dumbed down on reality, and they use a secret mask, a secret dimension of reality to mask the real reality.
It's because the globalists are crazy. They hate everybody. Why did they build 10 plus reactors on fault lines and tsunami lines in Japan? Why did the Japanese government do it? Because they're anti-Japanese. They're anti-human, folks. It's crazy. And so it's a good thing people are upset about their water, but I want you to go educate them. I want you guys to print up today.
Okay, so educating people. Let's talk about this.
This is why it's really bad.
Well, and that's the other thing, is that they had a lot of activists this last year, I guess around April, trying to fight to get the fluoride taken out of the water. So here, the state, the government, they could afford to continue fluoridating the water, but they wouldn't pay $100 a day for this anti-corrosive agent that was now eating all the lead out of the old pipes. So they keep on
Right, so let me break this down. The sea, or the waters that we're talking about, right? The Navy, Office of Naval Intelligence, runs our dimension of reality, okay?
To filter your own water. I'm all about.
So the contamination is poisoned water, but they're also talking about something else, right? People that are waking up to the deceptions, these satanic covenant deceptions.
The world, the planet knows how to filter water, not these globalists. But again, they want the money off of it. Leanne, here's your report.
President Obama has declared a federal emergency for Flint, Michigan, after a devastating man-made disaster was created by the state, leaving hundreds of thousands of residents there with contaminated drinking water. Now, all of this happened about 2 years ago when the city decided to switch the water supply from Detroit to the Flint River, which is a tributary that runs through the town, and it's notorious to its residents for its filth. Now, immediately following this switch, the residents were complaining about the taste, the odor, the appearance of the water, but state officials kept reassuring them the water was completely safe to drink, that there was nothing to worry about. But now we know that that was a dangerous lie.
Okay, so one of the biggest secrets is that this is a prison planet. So there's an underlying police game that's always going on with federal agents and undercover police, several different factions of undercover agencies.
It was going into these people's homes for more than 18 months. Little segue.
Now, some of these people that grow up are unaware of this, and in fact, quite a few people are unaware of this. Now, what happens when somebody wakes up that becomes a toxic person in the water supply?
In the fall of last year, researchers discovered that the amount of children with above average lead levels in their blood had doubled. Now, there is no safe level of lead in blood, but lead poisoning causes brain damage and other neurological health issues, and it's particularly damaging to developing children as well as fetuses. Now,
Lead, DEA idiocracy.
The damage was already done, and there is no telling how long these pipes are going to continue to leak lead. Now, the Washington Post does a really good job at breaking down visually just how high above normal Flint's lead levels really were. So the EPA considers 5 parts per billion to be safe, but 90% of the homes in Flint were reporting 27 parts per billion. 10% of the homes in the sample had lead levels much higher than this. The highest reading
So we've got people, the highest reading registered amount, 13,000 to 5,000 parts per billion. These are toxic people, and registered sex offenders or DEA controlled sex offender covenant environments.
Told them the drinking water was completely safe. All they needed to do was just boil the water. And of course, now these kids who've been poisoned are going to have to be supported for decades. And this researcher,
okay, so these kids that were poisoned by these Masonic covenant homosexual pedophile environments that are now waking up are now poisoned, right? They're poisoning the natural Navy Sea of this dimension, okay? They're poisoning, all right?
Under 6 should be treated as exposed. So that's
exposed to Masonic pedophilia and homosexuality. Police state.
He's accusing government leaders of intentionally poisoning thousands of people, and he is pinning the government's decision, of course, on race and poverty, saying that this never would have happened in more affluent neighborhoods, and this is actually the exact same thing.
Now, to break this down even more, you have this police game going on. So you have these undercover informants, right, that are always going around, all right, always looking for people to bust and set up and to dumb on down and to curve the population, right? Right, we got to keep some kind of control of the population, and people need their sacrifices or their little rituals or whatever it is that they do. But you have these people catching these fish in the Navy water supply, and they're toxic, all right? They've already been exposed. They know the secrets and the deceptions of reality. Okay, so that's what that's talking about. These DEA busts, or this police game of going out to catch these people. It's backfiring because these people are so aware of their environment. They've been exposed.
Leaching into the groundwater were heading in an opposite direction from the city. Meanwhile, the residents had to point out to the EPA that this is the exact part of the underground water where they get their drinking water from. So it's going to be a huge problem in the future. And, let's not forget about the EPA, who destroyed an entire ecosystem there at the Animas River. And a lot of residents said that the EPA knew that this would happen if they tried to clean up the mine in such a way. Some people went as far as accusing the EPA of doing this on purpose with the intention of being able to set up a Superfund site there. And of course,
a Superfund catch site, okay? Police game. Alright, so you have the DEA, green sex offender controlled covenant environments, and you have the sustainable forest industry. Now, this is a classified key term for this.
This is disgusting negligence of a system that wants to cut corners and doesn't care about the long-term devastating effects on your health. It's just more proof that you cannot trust the state to take care of you, look after your best interests, and the only thing that you can do that's truly safe and effective is filtering your own water.
Absolutely incredible job to Leanne and the crew that shot that report. What a public service announcement. The headline on that...
Okay, so the Navy Sea. right, to see the dimension of reality. And you got to realize that the general population is only thinks that there's about, we live in a seen world, mind you, again, so the general population is still living in technology based off of the 1800s, when the first black and white stereoscopic images were made. All right, that's when they think the military came in, and this is when people think that technology made its boom. So they're still thinking that there's only 138 years of technology out there, when in actuality there's about 5,900 years of technology ahead of the 138 years that you are aware of. Okay, so it's very, very frustrating when I know all this, and when the global elite knows all this, to have to break this down and decode this for you. But this is what we're working with. Okay, we're working with two simultaneous parallel dimensions. And so I'm trying to decode both of these in a way that you can understand, when you're only basing everything you know off of a deception, and I know the realities. So the realities are the Navy Sea, the Masonic deceptions, the DEA green sex offender controlled covenant environments, and the police catch and release, or the police catch and kill Illuminati kill streak game that's going on. So there you have it, Shane K play. I'm gonna go ahead and upload that. Got a Broncos game going on today. Hope to see the Broncos get to the Super Bowl so that we can get this sort of information out and get and save some of these children, such as myself, that are victims of these horrible contaminated sea environments.